firearm matters and the media is hiding it. At the Minneapolis Border Patrol shooting, the suspect was armed with a Sig Sauer P320 AXG Combat, a high-capacity 9mm pistol with a threaded barrel, extended 20 to 21 round magazine, and a Sig Romeo optic, a setup costing $1,500 to $2,000. This was not a cheap carry gun. Officers were in a physical struggle with an armed suspect when a gun was perceived and the word gun was shouted. Under settled self-defense law, officers are entitled to rely on fellow officers' reasonable perceptions. They do not have to personally confirm the threat. Once a firearm appears during active resistance, the legal standard is simple. Reasonable perception of imminent deadly force, the standard was met here. Freeze-frame activism doesn't override real-time dynamics, and the law does not require officers to wait to be shot. This was tragic, but lawful use of force. I'm glad he says essentially the same exact thing I did, but with much smarter words. Drock says, thank you. Worth noting the P320 of the same one cops get is notorious for going off on its own accord.
Scene. The shooter's gun. And I'm familiar with this gun. This is a SIG 320. Gosh, what do they call it? The AXG, I think. Yeah, AXG. The SIG 320 AXG Combat. You can see it has a threaded barrel, just like the suspect's gun. This
I
image
got
is
the
from the SIG
365
website, so
with
it
the
doesn't have
optic.
the optional optic on it, which this guy has, which, by the way, is a SIG optic, a Romeo 2 optic, 9mm pistol, high capacity. This magazine might be the 20 or 21 round magazine.
I don't think
the way
it's a
it's
Romeo,
extending
though.
from the gun. This is not an inexpensive firearm. This gun, just the gun without the optic, sells for anywhere between $1,000 and $1,200 retail. And the optic that's on the shooter's gun is typically another $500 or $600. So we're pushing a couple $1,000s worth of the pistol here, which is not a small amount of money.
Is it Julia?
Now, I'm going to mention, because someone's going to mention it, like it or not, SIG 320s have developed a reputation, deserved or not, of unintentional discharges, meaning if they're dropped, sometimes they go off when they're not supposed to. They're supposed to be drop safe, but there's been lots of press coverage and lawsuits about people like just putting a primer in the gun and dropping it. The primer goes off. That's not supposed to happen. There's been lots of lawsuits where people say, you know, I bumped the gun in the holster and it just went off and shot me in the leg, that kind of stuff. In this case, it's beginning.
SIG sights are Romeos, the magnifiers are Juliets. My sight doesn't look like the one on that guy's gun. But I don't know how to tell what it is. I don't know how to tell what it is. It's got the Sig Sauer branding on it. I just don't know what kind of sight. It's a red dot sight. if that helps, I don't know. But it's different looking than the one on that guy's gun. It's not an extended mag. It's a default 17 round double stack magazine. Romeos are Chinese garbage, by the way. Would not buy. Now, all I remember about my gun is that it was owned by a former Marine, and I got it for hella fucking cheap.
To look, at least initially, as if one of the ICE guys perceived the gun on the suspect, this gun, and took it off his person and was turning away, walking away with the gun to secure it from the suspect. But what might have happened, remember, there's a whole bunch of officers involved. They're not all, you know, Ethernet cable to each other's brains. They're all seeing different.
They're not hive mind.
And one officer might have seen the gun and said the word gun.
They did. You can hear it.
And that might have triggered that first shot by an officer. And then all the other officers begin shooting in response to that.
That is also a possibility, because you hear one shot go off, and from all the angles we watch, it's pretty impossible to tell exactly where the shot came from. It's also impossible to tell if the guy was reaching, like the guy that got shot. Impossible from the angles we've seen if he's trying to reach for his own gun or if he possibly could reach for an officer's gun. Either way, one of the officers did say he's got a gun. He screamed gun. One shot went out, all of the agents backed off, and then the barrage of shots happened. You rewatch the slow-mo, you can see that after the gun is taken away, he does reach for the gun. It just isn't there anymore. I had a hard time seeing if he does try to reach for his waistband, but like, once again, the officers just hear gun. They can't know that it got disarmed already.
Initial discharge. That does not make the shooting unlawful. It would be an awful, but lawful
yes.
shooting. So
yes.
What's required for the shooting to be lawful? The officers have to have a reasonable perception of an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm. That's it. If the answer to that is yes, this is a lawful shoot. They're struggling with this gun. If they perceive this guy as being non-compliant with arrest, fighting with officers.
Which he was. And he was also choking some random person in a gray hoodie that we have no idea who they are or why they were getting choked.
As reaching for a weapon, they will have reasonably perceived an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm, justifying their use of deadly defensive force. And their perception does not have to be correct. Their perception has to be reasonable. We're not required to make perfect decisions in self-defense. Police, too. We're required to make reasonable decisions in self-defense. If an officer heard a fellow officer shout gun, and officers are allowed to rely on the expertise of training on their fellow officers, they don't personally need to see the threat themselves. If another officer with whom they're working in that event shouts out that the triggering event has been observed by a fellow officer, that's enough for another officer to resort to the use of deadly defensive force. They're allowed to rely on their reasonable perceptions of the other officer's communications and conduct. Happens all the time because everyone knows the officers.
Herrera has a whole video about how unsafe the P320 is because of accidental discharge. It did not accidental discharge. You can see the guy in the gray sweater disarm the suspect and move the gun away. That gun did not accidentally discharge. You can track the guy the entire way as he disarms and removes the gun.
Have different perspectives or seeing different things at any given time. Every officer does not personally need to see the threat. He has to have a reasonable belief that the threat is present. That can be based on a reliance of what other officers communicate to him. So if one officer shouts gun, all the other officers are going to be prepared to, and some of them will shoot, as appears to be what happened here. When you get in a physical brawl with a bunch of armed law enforcement officers and you have a gun on your person, you're running a serious risk of getting fatally shot in the course of that confrontation. The moment they see that gun, they've reasonably perceived an imminent threat of deadly, unlawful force against them, and they'll justifiably respond with deadly defensive force. By the way, it's not uncommon for police officers to shoot other police officers. Like two plainclothes police officers respond to a scene of violence, see each other with guns in hand, and one shoots the other. And it's a justified shooting because the shooter, although he wasn't actually shooting a criminal and that other person was a fellow police officer unknown to him, was not actually a deadly force threat to him. He was reasonably perceived, given the circumstances, as an imminent, unlawful.
But can they reasonably perceive breakfast?
Threat of deadly force harm, and therefore it was justified to use deadly defensive force.
Holy shit. Grandpa, please learn audio balancing, I beg of you. Jesus fucking Christ. He has his audio down so fucking low. I had to crank mine super loud. And then he hits us with that fucking music. Why, Grandpa? Why have you done this? Oh God, my eyes started watering. There are some people really angry at my take, despite my take being, yeah, this is kind of tragic, but maybe you shouldn't fight federal agents? I don't know. That seems like a quick way to be in a bad situation. Dear God, that hairline. So Eric Doherty here tweeted out, Minnesota State Rep Alex Falconer is facing renewed calls to be arrested because of his involvement in running an anti-ICE insurrectionist network and signal chats to stalk ICE. Shootings involved people in these quote-unquote watch groups. Arrest him.
You know, yesterday we had the young man, 13-year-old, handcuffed by ICE, his father taken away. I arrived there as soon as I could. I talked to some of the family members. It's devastating. And I don't know, just going home and talking to my kids about what happened and how this is affecting our community. These are terrible times. But we will get through it. We'll get stronger for it. And we will look out for one another. Before coming to the state legislature, I'm a community organizer at heart, and that's part of what I'm trying to bring to the legislature. I'm helping to lead the community response, rapid response network that we have. given any ICE situations. I have a couple cards here. I'm willing to stop in to stay around and talk with anybody that wants any more information. We've got a couple groups on the app Signal that we would love for you to join.
Why does his nose look like he got stung by a bee?
You want to be a part of the Resistance Network. I fully understand that you may not be comfortable with that, but you can.
I'm just like, this guy looks like he is drugged out of his mind. This is Kanye in disguise. This guy is really confused at what's happening. This guy's falling asleep after a late shift at work. What am I witnessing?
Can help us in a lot of ways by sending an alert that if you see any suspicious vehicles, any traffic, if you know of anybody that is being targeted, that's being detained, we have resources immediately available that we can send to you, send to their family, get them legal help, help the families if they need food, if people are afraid to leave their homes to get food. We're working with the food shelves to try to figure out a way to deliver
They're working
groceries.
directly with the food shelves.
I know yesterday apartment complexes needed their parking lots plowed and people were being taken as they were moving their cars.
What?
We can move your car for you. Just please, like, anything, small, large, we are here for you. And we will stand with you. We will stand for you.
You support him too.
So please do not hesitate to reach out for the information to join these groups so that we can all work together to protect one another. This is Minnesota. We value you. We love you. You are welcome here. And thank you for being here.
Well, I mean, I don't know if anything will happen to this guy, but it would be interesting to see. Deport them all. Spotted right down the street from the prayer service for Alex Pretty. Many windows last night were tagged with not just fuck ICE, but kill ICE. Is this how we bring down the temperature? Once again, as retarded and delusional as these people are, their delusion only makes them more dangerous. They genuinely believe that they are the good guys fighting Hitler's SS and on-the-ground brown shirts. So writing this to them is just normal. This isn't violent, this isn't bad, this is just, like, your duty as a human being. More Hat Man saying, I thought someone edited in the sassy gay voice, but it's actually the protester. I really wonder, like, I hate hearing all the whistles and shit, but I really wonder if any of these people stop and think that them constantly making noise and blowing whistles, which the express purpose is to cause high stress and confusion for the officers during their operations. I wonder if they also realize that them doing that is potentially what can get people killed because the officers can't communicate efficiently with each other. I just wonder if they ever have that moment of like, hey, maybe what we're doing isn't helping even our side. Oh my God, this guy's vest only says federal officer. How are we supposed to know who these masked men are?
And you motherfuckers get tried for your crimes. You guys suck so bad. You're gonna be in so much fucking prison.
You're gonna be in so much fucking prison. I sound smarter than this guy when I'm like triple gummied out of my mind in another fucking galaxy, bro. Holy shit.
Fucking bitch. Suck my dick, you fucking pussy.
Cheese ward lose game. My cock is in your mouth.
Put your hand in your fucking...
Beep. Beep.
Is this your fucking guy? Is this even your fucking asshole? Get away.
Is this even your fucking asshole? I was like, I don't know. I don't get much opportunity to look directly at my own. I don't know.
Hey. You wouldn't give me his name or badge number. Who the fuck is that?
say Hara. Someone would be like, won't you think of the children? Why are the feds visiting violence upon our communities? And then someone else would be like, yeah, who's gonna diddle the kids if we deport all the illegals? Literal fucking South Park bit, dude.
I continue to struggle to believe.
I'm going to the sidewalk right now. I'm going there right now.
Gosh, Dad, I'm going to the sidewalk like right now, okay?
Hey, keep saying shit. Go ahead. Keep saying shit. Yeah. Listen to your boss, man. Maybe you should take a break.
Instead of extra mags, carry one gun for every mag. Yeah, let's get the gun kata going, man. Why is there no sound all of a sudden?
He said we can stand right here. He said we can stand right here. You can take pictures, be on the sidewalk. Just stay away from the vehicle.
This guy's literally arguing about like 3 feet. He's like, why do I have to stand on the sidewalk? Why can't I stand right here? Sir, it's just take your pictures from 3 feet back. Look at your fucking lens, man.
Away from the vehicle.
Like, come on.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck
I like how
out
that was
of
just a
here.
minivan.
You're not welcome here. Fucking fascist murderer. Piece of shit. Burn in hell. Fuck you.
Why does that guy keep telling the ICE agents to suck his dick? Like, I know we've been making fun of the women for turning this into a fetish thing. But like, what the fuck, man?
Not engaged with them. Not engaged with them.
Sit next to the vehicle.
It's a white SUV. So that's interesting. He's lonely, Kirsche. We have Cam Higby saying businesses near the site of Alex Pretty's shooting litter their windows with anti-ICE protest signs. And I'd be very interested in knowing if the businesses themselves put these signs here because they support the cause or because they don't want to be vandalized, much like a lot of businesses did during the Black Lives Matter riots. Except for the based Cubans in Florida who basically said, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck? Desperate to not have their store set on fire. Alright. Neighbors say. Them neighbors out here. Businesses help terrorists. Here's a screenshot of a mutual aid link tree tied to Signalgate. It includes businesses that allegedly aid the network. It has towing companies, Leo's Towing, Neighbors Helping Neighbors, fundraiser by Elodia Alonso, help family after father was detained, fundraiser by Giselle Dominguez, Juan was detained and his family needs, blah, 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 Shakopee Food Delivery, Fee Justica, Minnesota, Channel 1 Regional Food Bank, Cavalry Food Shelf, Zainab Mohammed Food Delivery, Ayadna Leeds Food Drive, Defend 612. Signal stuff goes so goddamn deep. I can't believe, right? Like, if I'm going to join a Signal group, I'm going to do so with the assumption that, yeah, it could get hacked and leaked at some point. So I'm absolutely not going to use my real name, and I'm absolutely not going to attach any pictures to it. How dumb can these people be? Like, what the hell are you doing, guy? How many of those are just fraud fronts? Also a great question. He says, resources found in one of the insurrectionist Signal chats. These chats are designed specifically to impede and resist federal law enforcement. You'll see mutual aid links, resources, patrol training manuals, and community tactics. You'll also see a key to message emoji responses, including one that is an instruction to delete messages. They have the little emojis here. They got community tactics, patrol manual, resources, ice plates, money. Money! This guy said, meet Flan Southside, aka Lieutenant Governor Penny Flanagan, dispatch admin of the Signal chat group. Of course, Anita Smithson would include her to the group to run dispatch operations. Still figuring out who Boogie is. Maybe it's Tim Waltz. Maybe it's Fat Boogie. Maybe the money on Lolcows Live ran out. Now he's got to do this, you know? So it shows this thing with the like little telephone icons, which meant dispatch based on their emoji code from the other day. Flan Southside. I know that when you sign up to Signal, you put in like a phone number or some shit. So maybe that is how they are verifying that this is in fact Peggy Flanagan, Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, who for some reason in her Facebook bio has Ojibwe, earring enthusiast. Gizhi wee wid mookwe equals speaks in a loud and clear voice woman. Thanks, Peggy. This is Peggy Hill dark reality. And then today I joined thousands of Minnesotans for a peaceful protest. And she's down here in the protest, but she's also in the group as a dispatch agent, which makes it really interesting that we now have people in direct control of the Minnesota government implicated in these Signal chats trying to disrupt ICE. I wonder what it's called when local governments start actively impeding the federal government. I don't know, chat. I mean, historically, maybe there's been like a war or something fought over this stuff. I don't know. 0 Hour saying they have illegally captured 5,000 plates in their Signal group. Some admins are connected directly to Tim Waltz. Oh, that's a huge no-no. So they have the sheet here. This is plate issuer. You have Nebraska, Minnesota, U.S. federal government, and then they have the tags for confirmed or suspected ICE, plate IDs, confirmed ICE plates, gallery, abductors, by the way. Abductors, by the way. You have people saying you're defending the idiot when you say the government is saying possessing a firearm is grounds to be shot, and that is untrue. I haven't seen anyone in the government saying possessing a firearm is ground to be shot, except for, like, leftists who said that about Kyle Rittenhouse. It appears an agent disarmed the guy who was legally carrying. Agents yelled gun, gun, gun. It's kind of flipped. The agents yelled gun before he was disarmed. He got up and raised his arm and they fired until the threat was down. He didn't raise his arm, he reached for his holster, but you know, potato, potato. It appears like an accident and he probably didn't have his firearm. He definitely didn't have his firearm when they shot him, but they didn't know that. I'm an avid 2A supporter, but when you troll, taunt, and stalk federal agents, these accidents can happen. It's sad that he's dead. It's his fault for creating the situation, and the same applies to the good lady. Democrats and the media encouraging this behavior is solely because they want the death and tragedy. They want the money and power they get as a result of it, and they want more. They are to blame. They are murderers, and so is everyone using the fake narratives to cause more death and destruction. And I agree with this. By the way, not that it makes any difference, but he didn't realize the agent took his gun, so he reached for his holster and drew a magazine, which is when the agent shot him. It's really hard to tell if he had a magazine in his hand or not, but it says Alex Purdy violently resisted arrest, attempted to stand up, and reached for his holster at the 27-second mark. Gray guy disarms him in a second here. He's disarmed. Gray guy backs up. Accidental discharge happens. Agents back up. Pretty reaches for his holster. And he gets shot. And it does kind of look like he might have something in his hand. So, like, maybe that's his cell phone. I don't know if he dropped it. Maybe he did pull out another magazine. Who knows? It does kind of look like there was something there. Hard to tell. It's incredibly fucking pixelated. Why isn't every ICE agent wearing a body cam? Why isn't every single ICE and Border Patrol guy wearing a body cam? I kind of want that. Phone, it's his phone. It's his phone. All right. We see all of this in slow motion. Now have yourself be an ICE agent in this situation, surrounded by people wanting to hurt you, yelling, screaming, have your body full of adrenaline. Mistakes are gonna happen. Very much so. This guy said, the video taken by the lady in pink close to the event shows the confrontation began between one ICE agent and a lady, as well as the individual who got shot. The agent was forcefully moving them out of the middle of the street while an ICE operation was underway. The person shot was actually in the middle of the street directing cars to drive through the enforcement operation. There were ICE agents in the street. The guy's actions were causing hazards for them. The agent then pushes a lady down when she stumbles in the snow while going backwards. The guy comes to her assistance, and then the agent pushes him, and he pushes back. That is an 18 USC 111 violation. I can show you a few dozen videos where similar or less contact at the Capitol produced 18 USC 111 charges. And defense of others was not allowed. Now the guy is subject to arrest for felony assault with physical contact. That's when the scuffle to restrain and cuff him begins. Still looking at the video to see where, as reported by others, he makes an effort to pull his gun while this is happening. As with Good, I don't see a single officer pull his gun prior to the warning that's yelled he has a gun. Again, that is the training. You idiots claiming it is a clear case of murder because he was already disarmed are just that. Idiots. Just admit you have opposed the immigration law enforcement from the beginning. And I said this guy, but his bio is 22 years as a DOJ prosecutor, represented 91 January 6 clients. Comments not legal advice. And then this guy posted the pictures that I showed, the still frames. He had a gun but hadn't managed to reload it after dropping his mag earlier. He was still trying when he died. And it shows him reaching to where his holster is. And again, this all happened in under 2 seconds. Agent yells he has a gun. Gray sweatshirt guy disarms him. All agents back off from hearing the accidental discharge. They don't know it's an accidental discharge. They just know that another agent yelled he had a gun and then a shot was fired. They back up, he reaches for his holster, and then they fire on him. If the agents had cams, this wouldn't be a problem. They all need to have them. There is no reason that these agents should be out here without body cams at this point. Potentially criminal saying committing civil disobedience while armed is fucking moronic. And yes, I agree. And it's replying to a still picture saying this right here. This is the moment he decides to get involved, grabbing an agent who is dealing with people harassing him. Don't do that. And this guy here said, in concealed carry class, they tell you that you have a heightened duty to avoid potential fights while armed, as a matter of legal and practical self-preservation. You don't want to raise the stakes to death in a fight, and you don't want to have to argue to a jury later about whether you provoked a fight while armed to bait someone into a self-defense situation, which is true. The anti-ICE protesters have inverted the duties of being an armed citizen, or a citizen in control of a lethal instrument, like a car in a traffic stop. They are deliberately creating situations of maximum ambiguity with a low-level threat of lethal danger to bait law enforcement into making them heroic victims or martyrs. Being an observer or law enforcement, while also armed and getting into shoving distance with them, is just a bad idea. Even if you think the law empowers you to play the I'm not touching you game with acts of defiance or minor assaults, it's also hazardous to the public trust to create a situation in which every protester is regarded as a potential threat, and every cop seen to be on the edge of shooting someone. I can't tell from the video whether this guy drew his gun at any point in the struggle. He didn't. He only reached for his holster after the accidental discharge happened. Regardless, getting into a struggle with a cop while armed has a serious chance of ending in your death. Even if the resulting shoot is ruled unjustified or an error, you're still dead, which is only good for people who profit from chaos and mistrust. Protesters whose cause is bad. The shooting will not have been unjust or criminal, just a tragedy. It's also not proof of government oppression because every government has to enforce laws, and you can't use the chaos of choosing to interfere with law enforcement as proof that having laws is unjust. And I want to add on to this, his paragraph about these people deliberately creating the situations. I think there are a lot of them that are doing this, and I think that not that it makes that much of a difference, it's basically arguing semantics, but there are the useful idiot true believers down there as well that aren't thinking about becoming a martyr. They're thinking, I must protect these innocent immigrants. Like, the word illegal doesn't even enter their lexicon. They just think that it's an immigrant and that they're protecting them. Andrew Bronca, once again here, saying, and he was carrying more than 60 rounds of ammo. I personally carry a gun every day for personal protection and have for my entire adult life. I've never in my life carried more than 60 rounds for self-defense purposes. The only circumstance I can imagine doing that is if I knew I were going to get into a gunfight. Which, again, I mean, Bronca probably knows a hell of a lot more than I do, but personally, I think that it doesn't matter that he was carrying 60 rounds. I don't think it matters. I think that's perfectly fine if you want to carry extra ammo, and many people in chat brought up many situations where you would want to have extra ammo. I guess a kick streamer went down there. His name is Waxiest. I've never heard of him. never heard of him. He gets attacked after Antifa pull up on him after the Minneapolis anti-ICE protest.
I got these guys fucking with my fucking shit. Oh, okay. Alright, what's good?
Why would you open the door?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you just gonna punch me in my car? Let me...
Now see, my question is, what if this kick streamer had been a lawfully carrying gun owner, and he opened his door, and this fucking thug ripped his door open further and started attacking him? The kick streamer would probably be banned for having shot someone live on stream, for sure. But I feel like the kick streamer would have been 100% defensive shot, based on what we're watching.
Let me out, bitch. Let me out. Fight fair, motherfucker.
Get out the car, nigga.
Yeah, let me out,
motherfucker.
bitch is hurt,
right? Them bitch is hurt, right? Get
out the car. Let me.
Get out the car.
You gotta.
Get out the fucking car.
You just gotta sucker punch me, motherfucker.
Get out the car, nigga.
All right, move back.
You told me to pull up.
Yeah, I did. What's up?
We need a skin tone check. Can you say that word?
Yeah.
Why are they making homoerotic noises as they fight?
Come on, let's go.
What the fuck is happening? You want to fight or you want to fuck? Just take your pants down, man. The other cameraman joined in. I'm not surprised. Suspended from kick streaming for getting assaulted on stream will be live at YouTube. That's kind of fucked up. That's kind of fucked up. Kick should not be having like a zero tolerance policy on this thing. If he gets attacked on stream, why should he get a suspension? This is like the schools punishing both the victim and the perpetrator. This guy in his car was attacked. Why would he be banned for that? We have another streamer weighing in on this. Cinna makes her stance on ICE clear after the shooting that took place in Minnesota today.
ICE. Okay, but unironically though, fuck them. Straight up. Hey, fuck them. Yeah, it's fuck them, don't care, and if you don't like that I say that, it's fuck you too. You know what I mean? Hey, it's fuck you too. That is that simple. It's really that easy for me. I'm telling you right now.
At least take him to dinner first.
ICE. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna take him to dinner if I get to actually stare at one of their bulge straps, you know? Cinna says she's confused why saying fuck ICE sparked so much backlash after the shooting in Minnesota. I can't imagine why there would be backlash for saying fuck people trying to enforce our immigration laws and getting illegals out of the country.
Bro, by the way, I go on Twitter yesterday. Sidebar. I go on Twitter yesterday. You know, I said the thing that I said, don't care about whatever I said. I said, like, fuck ICE or whatever. Thought it was, like, such a lukewarm take. Like, nothing burger of a take. Because, like...
And what's crazy is having this take doesn't put her in danger of freaks trying to go after her sponsors and get her demonetized from anything. But saying, like, hey, I would actually like to have, you know, law of order and shit. And while someone getting shot is very unfortunate and tragic, they shouldn't try to impede legal law enforcement practices. That'll get freaks calling me a Nazi and going after my sponsors. That's, you know, that's a little crazy if you think about it.
Anybody can say that because it's true. Most people feel that way. Bro, that shit banged on Twitter, like 30K likes. Listen, this is like maybe a crazy take, okay? Maybe a crazy take. You, as a viewer, I hope you guys learned this, and maybe I don't need to say this, but it's true though. You don't, as a viewer, need to idolize things that content creators say all the time. Like me saying that should be a lukewarm take that everybody's like, yeah, no shit. You know what I mean? Cause like,
why would you think that everyone would say, yeah, no shit, fuck ICE, when like the actual unironic majority of the country voted for having borders and deporting illegals and shit?
I don't think it was a crazy take at all. I think it was just like a very normal take. The
crazy thing is, she's probably telling the truth when she said she thought this was a lukewarm take. The leftist will say the most wildly partisan radical thing with the casualness of commenting on the weather, and then be surprised when their uncle responds to it out of nowhere. Yeah? Yeah, it's kind of like proof that you live in a bubble when you're just like, hey, this radical thing I said should be lukewarm.
say things ever like for the props, and I don't like that like it's like a really big deal. Like you guys are like, oh my god, thank you for her standing up for this, because I'm just telling you how I feel, because I don't think anybody should question how I feel about that, you know? But like I saw people being like, oh my god, like that's so crazy. I'm like, no, I feel like you just shouldn't have to question how I feel about that, because that's not like, you know, that's not really like a sides thing. That's like a
no, it definitely is a sides thing, and I think it's normal for people to be like, hey, you know, I've been a fan of yours for ages. Why would you say fuck ICE? Why do you feel this way? And I think it's perfectly like valid for people to ask you that question if they're not doing it in like an asshole-ish way, right? If someone's like, hey, you dumb bitch, why did you say this thing, right? Like, don't reply to that guy. Don't give that guy attention, right? Like,
human rights thing. Done. You know, that's like different. Like, we're not even talking about like anything like that. I'm talking about like a human rights issue, and then we just leave it at that. So it's like,
how could you not agree with being a heckin' good person?
I feel bad that people take some things I say and they're like, oh my god, like thank you for doing this, when I'm like, I think that in general, like I think anybody could look at that yesterday and be like, yeah, like that's not okay, like and just be done with it, you know? Like that should be that shouldn't even be an idolized take. That should be a normal take.
That's very weird.
So I feel kind of bad because like I know it's probably easier for me to just not bring it up. Somebody's gonna be like, oh my god, Cinna, da, da, da. But like, you know what I mean?
I mean, it might be easier, but you do get a lot of attention this way, to be fair.
I feel like I hope that you guys all, I don't ever try to force my opinions on other people or anything like that, but I also don't want anybody to ever like overly idolize my opinions, because I'm at the end of the day a streamer, you know? I'm a dumbass. Like I know me, I'm a dumbass. So I never want anybody to idolize my opinions, but I also never want anybody to question where I stand, if that makes sense.
The most interesting thing in the video is the giant Pikachu. Well, that's just wrong. I think this cat tower is a far more interesting thing, but she covered it with ICE agents. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe the guy posting the clip did. I don't know. He did put his name on it for some reason. I think that's a little weird. I think that's a little weird to do. She's right about one thing. Human rights issues. So rights for illegals, but not for those being attacked, violated, or stripped of life. Sounds about right. True and real. But Homeland Security here. Moving right along. Saying, during the riots, one individual was apprehended for obstructing law enforcement personnel and utilizing caltrops to deflate the tires of law enforcement vehicles. Under apprehension, the subject was found in possession of a bag containing several similar devices. The subject was arrested. Honest question, is this a dude or a chick? Grok, help me out. And then we have MSN accidentally showed quote-unquote protesters using tire spikes before quickly panning away without comment. And it has your breaking news, live violent scene in Minneapolis after new fatal shooting by federal agent. And you can see the homemade caltrops is here on the ground. Whoopsie daisy, didn't mean to show that from our peaceful friends. Said the Goffstown Democrats in New Hampshire are actively financially supporting and supplying the rioters in Minnesota. Kristi Noem and Harmeet Dillon, please take note. This is from the Goffstown, New Hampshire Democrat, I'm assuming Facebook page, kind of looks like Facebook. Wondering how you can help this morning? Here are some requests for support from 50501 organizers in Minneapolis. Right now, we are 1, fully supporting a general strike. Tomorrow, we will be advocating for such a community meeting. We are hoping labor leads the charge, but if they won't, we hope they can follow our example. 2, we need targeted help in the form of supplies, and also people to come and support where we have labor shortages. Supplies like PPE, masks, goggles, hand warmers, food, water, tents. 3, we need mutual aid distributors, press documenters, lawyers, medics, faith leaders, and others with relevant experience to stand with their Minnesotans on the ground and lend their skills and resources. Donations can be made at mn50501.org, and then they have a link tree there as well. We have another guy here saying, understand something. A citizen journalist, not in quotes because he did an actual journalism. You did a heckin' journalism! Exposed an unthinkably massive fraud network in Minnesota responsible for the theft of tens of billions, possibly hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars. As others dug into it, it became clear that local, state, and federal government officials were personally involved. To distract from this, those same government officials mobilized a nationwide communist insurgent force. Armed, trained, well-organized, coordinated, funded, supported, and defended. Those same government officials are in part directly involved in the organization, coordination, funding, support, and supply of this communist insurgency. International entities are also involved in all of that. They've gotten multiple people killed and have put federal agents' lives in real and present danger, along with those of their families. And these are fucking losers, and there are fucking losers on our side, equivocating over the violence and the need for the federal response. Give a prayer of thanks to the Lord our God, who has granted us the discernment to see the enemies in our midst, for those people are the people who will turn on us when things get worse. I was like, you know, it's definitely interesting to see. Wild how this stuff just completely flies under the radar. It is. Peggy Flanagan has just deleted her Facebook. I wonder why she would do that. I wonder why, after being exposed as a lieutenant governor working with the domestic terrorists to impede ICE, I wonder why she would delete her Facebook. I wonder why she would do that. Will Chamberlain said, I'm sorry, was Alex Petty a traffic cop? What in God's name did he think he was doing? And this is an affidavit from one of the women who was there and recorded the video. She talks about how Alex Petty was directing traffic when she arrived. I am a resident of the Whittier neighborhood of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I am over 18 years of age. I am a children's entertainer who specializes in face painting. On Saturday, January 24th at about 8:50 a.m., I was getting ready to go to work when I heard whistles outside. I knew the whistles meant that ICE agents were in the area, so I decided to check it on my way to work. I've been involved in observing in my community because it is so important to document what ICE is doing to my neighbors. Connecting to your local community and knowing who your neighbors are is something I profoundly value. I drove to Nicollet Ave and 26 where I could hear where the whistles were coming from. I turned south onto Nicollet. There were already several ICE agents there, and they'd set up a sort of vehicle convoy on Nicollet and 28th. There were also about 15 observers there recording and observing ICE. I saw ICE agents surrounding cars and punching car windows. I also saw them stopping vehicles further down Nicollet, so I backed up because I didn't feel safe continuing on. I noticed a man sort of acting to help traffic move more smoothly. He helped me find a place to park, and I got out with my whistle and my camera. I went over to him and said something like, I'm going to film and use my whistle. It seemed like most ICE activity was happening a little further down the street from us near 27. Someone was being thrown to the ground. I started recording and there was an agent by a car across the street. Two observers were a few feet away from the agent blowing their whistles. One was wearing a backpack. I and the man who was observing and helping direct traffic were standing in the street. There was a phone in the man's hand recording a video. An agent approached and asked us to back up, so I moved slowly back onto the sidewalk. The man stayed in the street. Wow, she actually knew how to follow directions. That's crazy. The man stayed in the street filming as the other observers I mentioned earlier were being forced backward by another ICE agent, threatening them with pepper spray. The man went closer to support them as they got threatened. Just with his camera out, I didn't see him reach for or hold a gun. Then the ICE agent shoved one of the other observers to the ground. Then he started pepper spraying all three of them directly in the face and all over. The man with the phone put his hands above his head and the agent sprayed him again and pushed him. Then the man tried to help up the woman the ICE agent had shoved to the ground. The ICE agents just kept spraying. More agents came over and grabbed the man who was still trying to help the woman get up. It looked like he was kind of not helping her at that point after he got sprayed, which again, I'm not going to blame him for that. He could have thought it was an agent. More agents came over and grabbed the man who was still trying to help the woman get up. All three of the observers looked to have been badly affected by the pepper spray. I could feel the pepper spray in my eyes. The agents pulled the man to the ground. I didn't see him touch any of them. Well, it just isn't true. We have video. He wasn't even turned toward them. It didn't even look like he was trying to resist, just trying to help the woman up. I didn't see him with a gun. They threw him into the ground. 4 or 5 agents had him on the ground and they just started shooting him. They shot him so many times. I don't know why they shot him. He was only helping. I was 5 feet from him and they just shot him. The video I recorded of what happened accurately depicts the events leading up to the agents shooting him and several minutes afterward. The video is attached as Exhibit 1. I've read the statement from DHS about what happened, and it is wrong. The man did not approach the agents with a gun. I haven't seen DHS said that. He approached them with a camera. He was just trying to help a woman get up, and they took him to the ground. I feel afraid. Only hours have passed since they shot a man right in front of me, and I don't feel like I can go home because I heard agents were looking for me. I don't know what the agents will do when they find me. And see, this is the problem. These people have been conditioned to be fearful that ICE is just going to murder them, which is not what is happening. And I'm glad that they say with like zero awareness exactly what happened because it's like they just tell on themselves. Like there's no such thing as an ICE observer, man. You can peacefully protest, but you cannot impede the actions of the ICE officers, which is what the guy was doing by directing traffic into their operation. I don't know what the agents will do when they find me. I do know that they're not telling the truth about what happened. I've heard that other witnesses might have been arrested and taken to the Whipple building. I'm disgusted and gutted at how they're treating my neighbors and my state. I keep alternating between crying and feeling determined. It is important to remember the value of documenting injustice. We show up for the people who need us to bear witness because it can't just be one group of people bearing the brunt of their tyranny. This is a struggle to protect our freedom and democracy. Those things are on the line. He lost his life for those values. I declare under penalty of perjury that everything I have stated in this document is true and correct. A lot of I heard and then some insane thing with no evidence that was proven wrong here, right? If a woman cries, we have to stop following rule and order. True! So imagine defending criminals from being removed from your neighborhood so that you can feel safe. Yeah, it's kind of fucking wild. I bet she would be one of the first people to be like, how could this murder happen on my street? Much of the reason for America's present dysfunction is that the leftist terrorists of the 1970s, from the Black Liberation Army to the Weather Underground, never faced any real consequences for being terrorists. Now they became influential writers and professors, and imparted the new left's hatred of Western civilization on countless more lefties, building the race communist left of today and imbuing it with the same desire to destroy everything that rises above the favela, but also smarter tactics. Yes, once again, this has been happening for fucking decades. Just as importantly was their living and profiting off of their background as terrorists, as it taught the lesson that the race communist left can do whatever it wants, no matter how deadly or destructive, and get away with it in the name of equality. That reminds me of like how I made this point like months ago, and I was like, yeah, there were many more bombings in the 70s. They do not need this many bombings in current year. They don't have to use bombing tactics when they are the ones who control our institutions. When they are the ones who have all of the activist judges to just release any of their foot soldiers. They don't need the constant bombings. McCarthy didn't go far enough. True and fucking real. Now that it's finally changing as ICE defends itself, more such lessons will have to be learned before that change is really internalized, but it is a good step in the right direction. And this is a screenshot that says Brian Burrow, Days of Rage, America's Radical Underground, the FBI, and the Forgotten Age of Revolutionary Violence. And then this guy, Mr. Raw Egg Dude, I don't know much about him, but I've seen him post occasionally, said it's not that they never faced any consequences, it's that they won. Everything the Weather Underground believed in the 1960s is now mainstream today, which is true. Their beliefs about patriarchy and white supremacy and the evil of white people reproducing are now standard fare TV sketch shows and advertisements for underwear. They achieved a crushing cultural victory, and conservatives are as responsible as anybody else, if not more so. Conservatives thought that they could control society if they just got the economy right. Turns out that's a nonsense idea, obviously. And this is why I also don't take seriously the people who flippantly shove off any of my research on Bridge. Showing that the communists are doing what they always do when they get found out by obfuscating their tactics and making it harder to dig them out is not, oh, well, we know what's happening, so we're not gonna fall for it next time. This is the literal point of what they do. This is what they have been doing since before we were alive. You have to pay attention and you have to root this shit out instead of getting comfortable and ignoring it. Alex Priddy had been identified as the man shot and killed by federal agents in Minnesota this morning. Our hearts are with his family, friends, and the Minnesota community, as people everywhere grieve this unjustifiable act of violence. Alex was a 37-year-old ICU nurse who served veterans at the VA hospital and cared deeply about his patients. He was a lawful gun owner who was protesting in his community when the agents detained, attacked, and then fatally shot him. He had joined protests following the killing of fellow Minnesotan Renee Nicole Good earlier this month. He had the right to be there and should still be alive. Of course, they don't allow comments. And someone reposted and said, Giffords says he was a lawful gun owner who was protesting in his community and had the right to be there. Giffords' website, however, says guns at protests are not protected by the Second Amendment because it chills the exercise of our fundamental freedom. Giffords also joined an amicus brief on this issue in 2024, where it argued that there's no Second Amendment right to carry guns at protests, in part because it might scare the police. And the screenshot here says, in practice, the promise of First Amendment rights affords little assurance against hostile listeners bearing guns. See David Welch, Michigan cancels legislative session to avoid armed protesters. Bloomberg, May 14th, 2020. Dahlia Litwick and Mark Joseph Stern, The Guns Won, August 14th, 2017. Children have experienced this chilling effect when armed protesters have shown up at child-focused events and places. See Tolly Taylor I-Team, Parents concerned about man with assault rifle at school bus stop, describing increased police presence at school bus stops to alleviate fear and anxiety related to a man repeatedly seen carrying an AR-15 rifle at such a stop in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. Christopher Wiggins, Proud Boys terrorized drag queen story hour in Nevada, June 30th, 2022. A member of the Proud Boys approached a group of children at a public library in Nevada with a rifle, causing them to scatter and scream. When the police are literally too afraid of armed protesters to stop a melee, First Amendment values are diminished. Discussion is supplanted by disorder and even death. And I think this is very interesting. I think it's very interesting, once again, because these people want to train militias in order to kill you. They do not care about the Second Amendment. They do not care about the right to self-defense. They think that they have a right to kill you because you have been labeled as a Nazi or a fascist or whatever the fuck they call you in order to other you from their cause. And it's very interesting seeing this kind of advocacy network having been completely against even bringing guns to protest to protect their own, to now say, well, this guy was one of our own, so he was a lawful gun owner who was just protesting. He had the right to be there. And it's like, yes, that's something that we would say on our side, but however you are experiencing hypocrisy. Why do people keep mentioning the LARPer was a nurse? Lakin Riley was a nurse too, you know? None of these people probably care about anyone who's been killed by an illegal. They unironically want to be the Gestapo. They do. Andy Nyo here saying, organized far-left extremists follow a citizen journalist from Portland, accusing her entire car of being ICE and demanding to see their identity cards. Once again, I'm wondering if any of them see the irony in complaining about ICE asking people for identity while they're stopping citizens not even as any officer of the law and demanding random citizens' identification. Like, I wonder if they can even perceive what they're doing here. Minneapolis has become a lawless zone where street shock troops have been allowed to run a parallel power institution to the state with the blessing of Minneapolis Police Department.
We aren't ICE. We are not ICE. We're not ICE. We're not ICE.
I'm showing my face. I'm not.
We question you. We're not ICE.
I'd be like, I'm a woman. I'm clearly not an ICE agent.
Yeah, they've been following us for over an hour. We're not.
Stop disappearing people for organizing committee in every neighborhood. Okay, all right.
Not ICE.
Like gay little horn?
We're just letting them know and they.
Not in an ICE vehicle, right?
No. Right.
Right. Get in your truck and get the fuck out.
Who the fuck does this guy think he is? What the hell is even that? What the hell is even that? Who are you, guy, to tell me where I can and can't be?
Because you need to go. Confirmed ICE. Get the fuck out.
Confirmed ICE through who? We're American citizens. We're not ICE.
These are the people that you're abducting. Get out. Please go.
Because they've been following us.
Holy shit, that's a ton of people following them.
Why are you guys here? What are you here doing? Why are you guys here? Where do you live?
Man, can you just imagine how retarded these people are? Just literally following some like random, I don't even know, are these journalists, YouTubers? I don't know who the fuck they are. Haley? Independent journalist? Yeah, just some random independent journalist. Oh, it's like ICE could be disappearing some poor little child rapist right now. And you're here following this independent journalist instead? That child rapist needs your help!
Yeah, where are you from?
The protest is public property. What are you talking about? Did you come in that car right there?
Yeah, this truck. And they're saying we're popping up in an ICE database.
Well, then you're in it. We're not.
What's the database?
So then you're in it. Get the fuck out. It's like, there's no arguing with these people. They do not live in reality. They are delusional, and their delusion makes them all the more dangerous.
Get the fuck out of here, though. Do we look like ICE? No.
No ice. Nothing on me. Prove it.
We're not ICE.
I don't have no weapons.
Prove it. Prove a negative. Prove that you're not what we think you are. What the fuck do you expect them to do? There's like nothing these people would accept as evidence, man.
See your IDs of where you live.
No, they've been following us. That's why we got out and confronted them.
Great.
You think that's okay?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay.
What do you mean you guys deserve? They're not ICE. What the fuck do you mean? I bet he feels real tough just bullying this random woman. Why is it always that they get off on bullying the women? That's kind of strange. Phoenix DS, thank you. Wow, thanks, Left. I really need to get a firearm. Thanks for being the poster children for self-defense. True. Matt Larson, thank you. Imagine thinking every F-150 or Explorer are ICE. Oh no. Oh no, corn-fed boys are in danger. They all have F-150s.
I'm curious about
our neighborhood? Yes. 100%. Yes.
I'm curious, I guess, how you get into an ICE database.
We're not ICE. Okay, thank you. So you're messing it up.
Actually crazy. And then this guy said, this is amazing. They went so hard into this 5-year-old kidnapping hoax, but now they're interviewing people to try and make ICE look bad, and those people are verifying that every single word the government said is 100% true and accurate. The mother said she wouldn't open the door to take her child because she was afraid they may detain her too. Great parents.
And I want to go now to Jason Kuhlman. He is the principal at 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos' school. And Jason, I appreciate your time. You know, I know that you actually have been to the boy's house. You spoke to his mother just moments after Liam was taken along with his father on Tuesday. I'll note, of course, ICE says that she didn't want to take the boy. That's what they have said. So I guess in that context and in your conversation, what was that conversation with her like?
Well, I think when we first were notified, she actually called our middle school right across the street and was talking to their principal and saying, would you please bring my older son home? I want to turn ourselves in. I do not want to break our family. And so once we received that call, we immediately went out to help support the family. We knew that she was hurting. So the principal at Columbia Academy and myself ran out there, and as we got there, the abduction was already gone. You know, they quick grabbed and then they...
Imagine still calling it an abduction at this point when you just confirm what DHS said was true.
Went. And so we went in the house. We were the first ones in the house with mom. And she was very distraught. Like I said, she just wanted us to bring her older son to turn themselves in because they didn't want to break up their family. They're a loving family unit.
If they had gone with ICE, they wouldn't have been broken up. What does she mean by this?
They're supporting each other, and she was distraught. She didn't know what to do. The way she described it, that her Liam was pounding on the door and saying, "Mom, please let me in, please let me in." She knew that she had an older son that she also had to watch out for, and so that...
Wait, that's even worse. That's even worse if your child was banging on the door and begging to be let in, and you ignored him. I can't remember who said it, but we read a tweet where it's just like, this is why the narrative the Democrats push works so well, because normal people cannot imagine putting like themselves over their child. And so it's easier to believe that like spooky evil Iceman detained a child and spirited him away, rather than believing that a mother could hear the cries of her child and ignore them. That's fucking wild.
That's why she didn't go to the door. She knew that she would also be picked up and taken with them, leaving the older son alone.
So I don't want to interrupt you, but just to be clear here. So when the administration says Liam was only taken into custody because his mother wouldn't take him, what you're saying is she felt she couldn't open the door because they would also take her, and then that would leave her other child alone. I mean, just the way that you're contextualizing.
I wouldn't leave her other child alone because she would tell them, I have another child, and they would say, okay, we will get him and bring him to you, as they did with the first child. What the fuck are we even doing here?
Absolutely. This is very different than the tone of what they're saying.
That's the same thing, and also worse. Because previously we were just told she refused to take the child. We didn't know the child was banging on the door and begging his mother to be let in. What the fuck?
Absolutely. Like I said, we were the first ones in. And again, just to help, to support, we were hoping to go to convince ICE personnel to leave the children with us, to leave Liam with me, so that we can...
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They're trying to deport these people. Why would they leave them with like the school administration? That doesn't make any sense.
Reunite the family, and he was gone by the time we got there. Once we entered the house, Mom was, like I said, she was distraught. I felt so bad for her. I gave her a great big hug, tried to console her.
Jesus Christ.
And then also started processing, like, what can we do? What are the next steps?
It's all very tragic. I mean, from what I understand, and maybe Jason, you know more, that the family, Liam's family, came into the United States in December 2024, so just about a year ago. They have a pending asylum case. My understanding is they have no order of deportation that would direct officials to remove them from the country, which obviously is actually the entire center of all of this, that they would have no order of deportation. The family's lawyer says that the father does not have a criminal record. So do you...
They say that every single time, and then every single time we find out that that's not true. Like that fucking old guy that you saw white women crying about, and they're just like, why would ICE take him outside in the cold? He's not wearing enough clothes. Well, Sheila, maybe it's because he's harboring 2 child rapists. I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Do you have any sense as to why they were taken?
They're brown. I'm
What a wildly racist thing to say. It's not only brown people being deported. What the fuck is wrong with you? When you're in a racist competition and your opponent is a leftist, holy fuck. That is outright, yeah, that is ridiculously racist. Jesus fuck.
going to speak my truth is they were brown and they were picked up. I mean, we're experiencing that all over the Twin Cities area, and especially in Columbia Heights, there's racial profiling happening. I mean, we've had numerous parents.
Please have that as a sound alert. Jessica's nothing like you. She's black.
It's picked up. Just at my school alone, we're looking at 19 or 20 families who had a mom or a dad taken. You know, am I privy to all of their personal information and if they have criminal histories? I am not, but I know them as parents in my school, and they love their children. We're talking moms. We're talking a dad who is bringing out garbage to the alleyway into his trash can. And
I don't care. Why should I care about this? If they are here illegally, regardless of whether they have a longer criminal record or not, that's still a criminal act. What are we doing here? What is this programming?
He was abducted, and now mom's calling us to say, do you know anything about this?
Apparently they don't love their children enough to open the fucking door. Also a good point.
Again, I seen their asylum paperwork. I asked mom if she had paperwork to learn anything on how to best support them and to get Liam and his father back, and she showed us it. In my knowledge, I don't see any orders of deportation.
Well, and that's crucial. I mean, you've seen it. That's more than anyone else can say.
Yep, you've seen the asylum paperwork, but you haven't seen the order of deportation. That's enough evidence for me that there clearly isn't one.
You know, Liam's teacher sent us a statement about him. I mean, I understand he's a first grader. Liam is a sweet and curious student. You could tell he wanted to be at school and wanted to learn. Jason, I know you, I believe 2/3 of your population.
A child is sad. We need to throw out the Constitution. Fuck having laws and shit. We can't make someone sad.
At school is Hispanic. You're talking about 20 families who've already had a parent taken by ICE. What's happening in terms of what kids coming to school, kids learning anything? I mean, it doesn't.
So the only reason that ICE had custody of the child is because both parents abandoned him? Yes. His father abandoned him in the middle of the road by running and trying to avoid being detained by ICE. And when ICE tried to bring the child home, the mother refused to open the door even as the child banged on the door and begged to be let in.
It seemed like this is functional.
No, by any means it's not functional. I mean, when you don't have just the basic needs met, and you don't have a sense of safety and security, it's very difficult to come to school and learn. We were delivering...
Very difficult to come to school and be indoctrinated by communist ideals, I think you mean.
Computers and supplies, because we have a number of students whose parents don't feel safe coming out of the house, that they do not leave. And so we are bringing a online portion of our school up next Tuesday. So we had to deliver, like I said, Chromebooks today. We're delivering 120 meals a week to families.
Wait, hold on. There's just been massive fraud in your state about meal delivery services. I don't know how much I believe this guy that he's actually delivering any meals.
Boxes of food because they're scared. We know that it's not sustainable, but this is not... We're apolitical. We're not Republican. We're not...
It's not apolitical to aid and abet criminal illegals staying in your area.
Their parents wanted them as political cover and not because they love their kid, and these idiots are going along with it, defending using children as literal human shields. Send them all back.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. It's like they didn't have a child because they wanted to love and support that child and have a positive impact. They wanted the child as like some kind of shield because they're not treating their child like they love him. The father abandoned him in the street. The mother refused to open the door for the kid. Like, that's fucking wild, man. That's wild.
Democrat, we're educators. We want to support our families, and we want to make sure that their students are feeling safe to come to school and learn. and it's not happening. I mean, we're doing
It's
the
an
best we
accessory,
can.
not a child. Just
No
like
one
my
prepared
mom.
us for this. No one prepared us to how to react to families getting taken or broken up, and how we have to pick up the pieces for our students.
I cannot even imagine
Well,
it.
you shouldn't have to pick up the pieces because the families should love their kids enough to not abandon them, ?
And the kind of the pressure and the trauma that is for you and all the teachers. Principal Jason Kuhlman, thank you very much. I appreciate your sharing all of this with us because it's important information. It's new information because, we're just getting these statements that we get from ICE and it's hard to know what the truth is.
But he just confirmed everything they said was correct. And worse than what we thought it was. Kind of funny. Kind of wild.